Welcome back to 504 Road Trips. Today we're going to tour the city of Natchez, Mississippi. We begin on the east side of town, heading for the old downtown area. We're following the business routes of US 61 and US 84. US 84 business goes all the way into downtown Natchez. We'll be getting out of the car later in the video to take a closer look at some of the architecture and attractions. Natchez is the only city in the county seat of Adams County. Natchez had an estimated population of 14,615 as of 2019. The city lies on a bluff overlooking the Mississippi River just across from the town of Vidalia, Louisiana. Established by French colonists in 1716, Natchez is one of the oldest and most important European settlements in the lower Mississippi River Valley. After the French lost the French and Indian War, they ceded Natchez in near territory to Great Britain in the Treaty of Paris of 1763. After the United States acquired this area from the British after the American Revolutionary War, the city served as the capital of the Mississippi Territory and then of the state of Mississippi. It predates Jackson by more than a century, the latter replacing Natchez as the capital in 1822 as it was more centrally located in the developing state. The strategic location of Natchez ensured that it would be a pivotal center of trade, commerce, and the interchange of ethnic Native American, European, and African cultures in the region. It held this position for 2 centuries after its founding. In the middle of the 19th century, the city attracted wealthy Southern planters as residents, who built mansions to fit their ambitions. Their plantations were vast tracts of land in the surrounding lowlands along the riverfronts of Mississippi and Louisiana, where they grew large commodity crops of cotton and sugarcane. Natchez became the principal port from which these crops were exported both upriver to northern cities and downriver to New Orleans, where much of the cargo was exported to Europe. Many of the mansions built by planters before 1860 survive and form a major part of the city's architecture and identity. Agriculture remained the primary economic base for the region until well into the 20th century. During the 20th century, the city's economy experienced a downturn, first due to the replacement of steamboat traffic on the Mississippi River by railroads in the early 1900s, some of which bypassed the river cities and drew away their commerce. Later in the 20th century, many local industries closed in a restructuring that sharply reduced the number of jobs in the area. Despite its status as a popular destination for heritage tourism because of the well-preserved antebellum architecture, Natchez has had a general decline in population since 1960. It remains the principal city of the Natchez micropolitan area. On the right is the Natchez Post Office, and ahead on the left is the Natchez Convention Center. We'll be making a U-turn there so we can drive along the Riverfront, which is a one-way street. Also on the right at Franklin Street, you can catch a glimpse of the Grand Hotel, which we stayed at and will be posting a room tour of. Here we turn onto Broadway, which runs along the edge of the bluff over the Mississippi River. You won't see the river from here because it's about 200 feet below us down the face of the cliff. We'll be taking a ride down a steep road to the river's edge near the end of the video. Ahead on the right is a historic railroad terminal, although there aren't any railroad tracks nearby today. The old Yazoo and Mississippi Valley passenger terminal was built in 1907. The railroad ceased to operate independently in 1945, and the depot was closed and ownership transferred to the city of Natchez. In 1972, the building was adapted to become a restaurant. In 2012, the city began planning to renovate the station, which has been dragged out for 8 years. The most recent news item from November 13, 2020 says that film producers are planning to open a restaurant in the depot building and a nearby amphitheater by summer of 2021. Just a reminder, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it to be notified of when our new videos come out. And give us a thumbs up or hit the applause button if you enjoy our videos. On the left, a building caught my attention because of the 3 letters left on top of the building that I later found out once spelled out the words Fry Building. On the right is the National Furniture Company, which looks like it dates back to the mid-20th century. However, inscribed in the top of the building is the word Kress, referring to S.H. Kress & Company, a chain of 5 and dime retail department stores that operated from 1896 to 1981. But the highlight of this block is the preserved facade of the former Ritz Theater which opened in 1935 and operated at least until the late 1960s. Reportedly, there's no roof and nothing in between the walls beyond the lobby, so there's no hope for the inside of the building to be salvaged as a theater. At the corner of Commerce and Main, in the middle of the downtown area, in the middle of the street, is a large Christmas tree, which is apparently an annual tradition. Just beyond that, installed in 1911, is a watering trough for horses, which faces the street. On the sidewalk side is a water fountain for people, and I just barely got it into frame, but at each end is a bowl for dogs. The inscription reads, "Memorial to our parents, George M. and Elizabeth Miller." On the right is St. Mary's Basilica, formerly St. Mary's Cathedral. The basilica was dedicated to Mary under the title Our Lady of Sorrows on December 25, 1843, but the diocese had to wait until 1882 for the building to be completed, 40 years after construction commenced. The building was consecrated on September 19, 1886, and remained the cathedral of the diocese until 1977. It was designated a minor basilica on September 8, 1998, and dedicated as such on September 25, 1999. Our Lady of Sorrows was designed by Baltimore architect Robert Carey Long, Jr. The supervising architect was James Hardy. It's similar to Long's contemporary Church of St. Alphonsus in Baltimore. The brick structure is 2 stories in height, and it was constructed on a partially raised basement. It features a semicircular apsidal end, ornamental pinnacles, and buttresses. The central square tower that is capped with a spire is embedded into the structure and has a recessed Gothic arched entrance. The tower is topped with pinnacles. The original pipe organ is by H. Pilcher & Sons dating back to 1882. At the corner of Union and Franklin, we see an abandoned building, which is surprising considering the obvious effort the city has gone through to preserve the historical architecture throughout the downtown area. Perhaps there are future plans for this building. Here we see a few more examples of the vintage architecture, particularly in the entrances to the old shops along Main Street. The terrazzo entryway to a store says Burns, but whoever that was is lost to history. This building dates back to 1890. Now we're back at the river and we'll take Roth Hill Road down to the riverside where we'll find the Magnolia Bluffs Casino, opened in 2012. This is a very steep road that descends 125 feet from the top of the bluff to just above the water level of the river, where an old sawmill once stood. At the bottom of the hill on the left is a road that doubles back along the riverbank to a recreation area that's currently closed, possibly due to the pandemic, although none of the other recreation areas along the river seem to be closed. Overhead is a footbridge that crosses Roth Hill Road, which offers a fantastic view of the Mississippi River below. People bring padlocks to attach to the bridge, many of which have names written on them. This is something seen in various places around the country. The padlocks are left by couples as a symbol of their affection. A sign on the end of the bridge requests that people not place padlocks on the bridge. We turn down another road that goes down to the riverbank. The area at the bottom is known as the Under-the-Hill Historic District. The Under-the-Hill area once contained all of Natchez, about 20 buildings at the time of the U.S. Revolutionary War. Gradually houses were built on the bluffs above, and Upper Town emerged, and eventually the center of Natchez shifted. In 1971, the district area included 6 dilapidated brick buildings on Silver Street of uncertain age. As you can see, these buildings have been renovated and brought back into commerce, although it appears abandoned during the filming of this video at 9 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving Day. Back at Canal Street, we conclude this city tour. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help support our channel, please check out our merchandise at 504roadtrips.spreadshirt.com. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, post a comment, subscribe, share and follow us on social media, and join us for our next 504 road trip.